Greetings, peoples of the interwebs. So as most of you are probably aware, Netflix finally released the full trailer for Iron Fist. Which I'm a little surprised that they released the first full trailer so late, because it comes out next month, if I'm not mistaken. But nonetheless, pretty solid trailer. Kind of gives you, just enough information on Danny Rand for again, the non-comic book savvy people, or even the people who just don't know that much about Iron Fist in general. Because he is kind of I don't know, maybe like a C/D list hero. Like a lot of other characters that have been showing up in some of the movies and TV series. But again, that's kind of the beauty. They're taking these lesser-known characters and bringing them to the forefront and just knocked it out of the park. But this trailer actually was pretty solid. I almost got seemed like a little bit of a influence from the Matt Fraction, Ed Brubaker run on Iron Fist, which was a part of the Marvel Now run, I don't know, 5-ish years ago, which was really solid, by the way. Some phenomenal artwork as well. I forget who the artist was, but definitely worth checking out, especially if you all want to get some reading material before the series, if you're unfamiliar with Iron Fist. I'd definitely recommend that. Could be wrong, again, with a lot of these shows and even the movies, they take a lot of liberties. They don't really adapt any specific storylines or anything like that overall. They kind of just cherry pick little elements from storylines. But if they did cherry pick from, again, the Matt Fraction and Brubaker run, that'd be phenomenal, because again, that comic was pretty great. But I really, I don't know, just like I feel like this show will be gritty like a lot of the others, but it still might be a little bit more fun. Just because I feel like having to implement the element of magic and all that stuff might, I don't know, like with the tone that Netflix shows have established, I feel like, kind of introducing like a little bit of a mystical element, since that's kind of the key to Danny Rand's powers as Iron Fist, is harnessing his chi into, a focused attack. I don't know, I feel like that might, which isn't a bad thing. I think, they can go for like, a little bit of fun, kind of maybe poking fun at the fact that it's, magic, which sort of seemed like it was the case at the end of the trailer when Claire Temple was kind of, who's also returning for this series, as she has for all the other Netflix shows, saying, we need someone to like fight all these people, and of course he's kind of like, oh, don't worry, I'm Iron Fist. She's like, well, what the hell is that? Which makes sense, because let's be honest, as much as we love comics and all the comic book lore, some of it sounds kind of silly. And some of it doesn't always translate perfectly onto, live action. Like, I think Iron Fist's suit probably isn't going to, or at least his classic suit, I don't think will make it into the show. Now, I could maybe see, like, the design for, again, the Ed Brubaker, Matt Fraction run, because I think that would be a bit more practical, and I think that would translate a little bit easier into live action. But honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised if they don't even give him his kind of iconic suit or any kind of suit variation from the comics at all, and they kind of just give him like, I don't know, kind of, because in the trailer he's not really wearing like a particular outfit. It kind of just looks like he's wearing more or less normal clothes, aside from like, a little cowl to cover up his face. So it wouldn't surprise me if, or at least in the first season, he doesn't get his suit, or maybe again like in the first season of Daredevil, where he doesn't get his suit until the last episode, which would be awesome, actually. But again, even if he doesn't get his suit at all, it wouldn't entirely surprise me, but me being the fan of comic accurate, costumes and all that stuff, I do hope he gets it. Probably not the one where he has like the big collar where it like rises all the way up to here, because it's a little ridiculous. Even during the time period, probably the 70s or 80s, when he had that suit, come on. It's way too high of a collar. Even when you fold it down, it's not very practical. It looks ridiculous. But again, I digress. Also, I like the fact that Madame Gao seems to be, I guess, if not the main protagonist, I think she's definitely going to be one of the protagonists in this series, which I kind of had a slight suspicion that Madame Gao, who was in the first 2 seasons of Daredevil, more so the first season, who's kind of the ruler of the Chinese mafia or whatever in Hell's Kitchen. I kind of had a slight suspicion that she would pop up in Iron Fist, mostly just due to her, like, some of her comments that she said throughout the series, in particular to Daredevil. At one point, I forget what the line of dialogue was, but basically she was just kind of like, "Oh, I'm not, from this world," because Kunlun, where Iron Fist learned, his martial arts skills and became the Iron Fist, it's kind of like in this little pocket dimension that shows up on Earth like every X amount of years, like 10, 15 or something like that. So I kind of had a slight suspicion that maybe, just maybe, she was from Kunlun. And also in season 1 of Daredevil, there's like some little Easter egg references on some of the packets of drugs that they were being shipped had the Steel Serpent emblem on there, which Steel Serpent is one of Iron Fist's main nemesis, or nemesi, whatever the plural is. So again, I think they've been kind of laying down the groundwork, and then of course the Hand is another one of enemies that a lot of the Marvel characters deal with in some form or fashion. But, Danny Rand, that was kind of a big part of the story arc in, I believe, the Matt Fraction and Ed Brubaker run, is him fighting off the Hand. And again, it makes sense because the Hand are kind of a mystical martial arts ninja organization. And so it makes perfect sense. And also that's, they're kind of building up to the Defenders. And, Daredevil in particular, season 2, the Hand were a very prominent, plot point, and it was clearly building up to something. So the Hand will also be heavily involved in the Defenders, which comes out, I think, in the fall of this year, which should be great. So I'm really looking forward to this. I just hope it's better than Luke Cage, because I like the first half of the season of Luke Cage, but then the latter half kind of tapered off a bit, and it just kind of felt very, I don't know, just a generic kind of like superhero thing where like the villain has, I don't know, it didn't really do it for me. Like, it wasn't awful, but I think they could have done a better job, and maybe, I don't know, maybe the show could have just cut a few episodes instead of doing 13, maybe do like 10 or 8 or 9, just that way there's, a bit more focus, but, whatever. So again, that's just a slight apprehension. And even in season 2 of Daredevil and Jessica Jones, there were like maybe a couple episodes, or just maybe plot points or something. I feel like they could have cut as well. So not just Luke Cage. It's just, I feel like not every season has to be 13 episodes. I think they could easily do 10 or 8 or something like that, so long as they just tell a good story, keep it nice and tight, and they don't really have to deviate that much and kind of have filler episodes or anything like that. So, again, just a slight apprehension that, Iron Fist might have a couple episodes that taper off a little bit. But, I mean, if that's the worst case scenario, I'm still going to be fine with it. Because I've been really impressed with the Netflix shows so far. Daredevil's great. Jessica Jones was fantastic. And again, the first half of Luke Cage was pretty good, so I have pretty high hopes for this. And I imagine it's going to tie directly into the Defenders. Even in the trailer, it says the last Defender has arrived. So I imagine however Iron Fist ends, it'll probably almost jump immediately into the Defenders in the fall. Whether it be like a post-credit type thing, or maybe just at the very end, some kind of Nick Fury type figure, kind of, I don't know, maybe Stick, might be the closest thing, kind of brings the gang together, and it's kind of like, we got to defend. You're the Defenders. Let's go fight the Hand. But who knows? We'll see. So overall, yeah, pretty good trailer. Got me pretty excited, and really looking forward to it. We'll probably go a little bit more in depth in the next roundtable podcast we do, probably later this week. And also be expecting some movie reviews, because I plan on seeing Lego Batman and John Wick Chapter 2 at some point in the next few days this weekend. So we'll either review those in, again, the next roundtable podcast, or I might just do like a quick little solo review, because I'm looking forward to both movies quite a bit, especially John Wick Chapter 2, because the first one was just amazing. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up this little trailer analysis or whatever of Iron Fist. Like I said, looking forward to it. Let me know what you all think in the comment section below. And as always, you can like us on Facebook at Pasty Pale Productions. I'm going to try to start doing like more kind of exclusive content on there to kind of give you all something on there aside from just kind of like news and updates. So, you know, go check that out. And you can always follow us on Twitter at Pasty Pale Pro. Again, kind of news updates, and we started doing polls now, so you all can vote on polls. And you can follow me at my own personal Twitter page at IrishmanJake. And yeah, that wraps up this video. So until next time, everyone, cheers.